Imagine if YouTube was a city, a giant multicultural metropolis like New York or Shanghai, where the content creators are the locals and the viewers are visitors from out of town who have come to stay here for a bit. Some YouTubers are living in huge skyscrapers, where every video is an apartment in its own right. Some are smaller, who are just building the foundations of their houses. Now in this city, the goal of the YouTuber is to get people to visit them in their homes as many times and for as long as possible. And out of the many ways and strategies you could encourage that, a very important one is to build a nice looking, inviting door, which will make visitors assume that since the door looks amazing, the house behind it must be even more incredible. Now this door on YouTube is your thumbnail image. Hey you guys, welcome back to our channel, the #1 place for people who love design, art and all things creative. You are watching Dancier and Balog's channel, my name is Laszlo, and in this video I'm going to show you how to design thumbnails for YouTube videos. I'm going to show you the process of my simple and quick photo editing techniques in Photoshop, all of which I have applied to make the thumbnail you have already clicked on. There are lots of list-like videos here on YouTube, promising you that if you do this and that with your thumbnails, they are going to get hundreds of thousands of views overnight. And yeah, you may do, but an important point that is being missed here is that you need to design a thumbnail that fits your brand. As a huge part of success within this platform is to reinvent and innovate rather than copy what everyone else is doing. So this video is going to be first and foremost a Photoshop tutorial, but I am going to give you more generic conceptual advice as well in the process, which you can apply to whatever program you are using to make thumbnails. Are you ready? Let's jump straight in. Okay, tip number 1. Unless you have a good reason not to, put yourself in the thumbnail. We have been making videos for a little short of a year now, and what we have noticed is videos in which the thumbnail is very clearly showing me or Jacqueline as the main subjects always outperform the ones in which there aren't real people. There's a lot of debate on YouTube why exactly that is. Some say this is more effective once you do have a certain level of YouTube fame and people know who you are, because obviously then followers will show up whatever you do, but I think it's deeper than that. You being in the thumbnail awakens people's basic human empathy and promises a personal, handcrafted video experience made by a human for other humans. I think it's that simple. In terms of what you should do in the thumbnail, well, have a concept in mind which has something to do with your video, but don't overdo it. Think of it like a movie poster. This is just a little teaser, isn't it? In my previous video I talked about getting back into art, so obviously you see me painting in the thumbnail. We tend to vary what we do with the actual composition. Sometimes I'm in the side of the picture, sometimes I look dead straight onto the camera, and sometimes we do like an in-action shot, just like the painting one. What a lot of people tend to do with the thumbnail is overacting, overplaying this kind of thing, and being like. And since you see this kind of thing so damn often, I can't help but think that they must be effective. But yeah, we don't do that. Let's just say that sort of thing is not in line with the DMB brand vision. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But if you wanna do the funny faces, just do the funny faces. Okay, moving on to step 2, let's open up Photoshop and edit this image. Open a new canvas. The standard size for the thumbnail should be 1920 pixels wide and 1080 pixels high. So make a file with these dimensions, then drag and drop in your photo. First of all, I think this is a little wonky, so I'm going to enhance a bit, then rotate my image. Now first of all, I duplicate this image by dragging the layer up while holding down Alt, just so we can always look back to the original image and see your progress. Right click, then rasterize. Now if you are a beginner, I thought I would show you these auto settings in the image tab, which are actually pretty good at adjusting the values of the image on their own. I mean look, I thought it looks better. Now let's open up levels in image and adjustments and mess with these little side scrolls a bit. Again, these are changing the light and shadow values of your image. And while most designers actually swear by adjusting this kind of thing with the curves panel instead, I think for beginners sticking to this levels panel will do the job just fine. Okay, now let's clean up a little. The first thing I do is I use the patch tool to get rid of elements I don't like in the image. Like this lamp behind me that makes me look like I got an antenna sticking out of my head. The way this patching works is first you select the area you want to patch by circling it. Then you drag your selection to parts of your image you want the area to resemble. And just like that, when done right, it gets rid of the stuff you don't want. It's like magic. Now, to sell the illusion, I'm going to use the dodge and the burn tools. These are essentially messing with the light and shadow values of certain areas again. If you paint over stuff with the dodge tool, it becomes lighter. And if you select the burn tool, the area becomes darker. So let's dodge this new little patch to clean up the inconsistencies we made. Now let's do the same thing with this little piece of hair here. Select patch, hold down and drag out a couple times, then touch it up with the dodge tool. See? So far so good. The next thing I want to do is sharpen the image, so I select everything I got and go copy merged. Then I paste this onto a new layer on top. I turn this duplicate into black and white by hitting Ctrl, Shift and U simultaneously on my keyboard. Boom! Now we go to Filter, Other, High Pass. Yeah, then hit OK in this little window, and now we wanna put this weird looking layer into soft light mode here on the right. I don't know if you can tell, but this took some of our edges and highlighted them, giving us the illusion of a sharper image. I learned this from Peter McKinnon. I put the opacity down a bit, don't need it to be this harsh. Yeah, about 30%. Looking good. Now let's mess with the colors a little bit. Go down to this little circular icon here and open up the color lookup option. This little window pops up, and what these are a selection of color LUTs. Kinda like Instagram filters which mess with the tones of your image. Naturally some of them will suit you better than others. What I like to use is the soft warming look and this horror blue as well. I hit OK and this creates an adjustment layer here on top of my previous layers. Now this is obviously way too strong as it is, so I take the opacity down again until I like what I see. You can also mess with the layer modes here, change normal to soft light or overlay and see how that affects your image. Just have a play around with this and see what works best. Okay, I have put 2 of these color filters in, so let's move on. Now remember the dodge and the burn tools? Let's go back to our original image layer and burn this image a little bit. What I like to do is darken the sides of my face and bits of me which should be further away. This creates dimension, not to mention it makes you look a bit more chiseled and defined, which is always good. See, what a difference. It's subtle but very powerful. Now I feel like I wouldn't do my job if I didn't also tell you about the Liquify tool. This is under Filter, Liquify. And if you open this, this is basically what people use to, you know, beautify themselves. You can sharpen your jawline, make your nose smaller, your lips wider. You know what? Stop. I'm showing you this tool, but at the same time I feel like I also have to talk about why I don't think you should use and abuse it. What I found is a huge part of being a YouTuber is to be able to be yourself. And being comfortable with the way you look is obviously a key factor of that. It takes quite a long time and a lot of practice to be able to be yourself in front of the camera, but honestly that's what is going to make or break your success as a video content creator. I am a work in progress in this area as well, of course, but honestly if you have seen some of our earlier videos, I think it's fair to say that I have come a long way. Hey guys, welcome to our channel, the #1 place for designers, artists and creators. This is Les, I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, and I mean, what is that? Like, zero confidence. We all have certain things about our appearances that we would rather change. I know I have many. But getting over the way I look is a key step that I know I have to take in order to get better at this job. Overusing beautifying tools such as the Liquify tool will needlessly prolong this period of attempting to give the real you to your audience. So, I'm not saying that you should never use the Liquify tool, but please, do it sparingly. Okay, where were we? Next thing I do is I blur the background. The way I do this is I select everything again with the rectangular marquee tool, copy merged and paste in place on top. Now I go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I put the radius to somewhere between 5 and 10 pixels. Right. Now I put a mask on this layer by clicking this little rectangle icon here with the circle cut out in the middle. Okay, let's get masking. If you don't know how this works, let me just explain it very quickly. If you paint onto a mask with black, it essentially erases bits of your layer, so the layers under it will show through. This is exactly what we want here. I want to paint over myself, so the original sharp version of me will show through with this nice blurry background. And by the way, if you paint with white on top of this mask, it will do the opposite and rebuild my blurry layer. So it's very handy if I make a mistake while I'm trying to carefully follow my character silhouette. Use a smooth, low opacity brush for this job and take your time, no rush. Your efforts will be worth it in the end. Okay, let's do the same thing again, but this time mask out some of the background colors. So for like the 50th time, copy everything you got on the board as a merged selection and put it on top. And you remember how we turned the layer black and white? Ctrl-Shift-U. Put a mask on top of this new layer and mask out the person in the middle again. With this one I'm not being as precious as I was with the blurring, because I don't mind a little color showing here and there in the background. In fact, it will look more natural if the colors just gradually fade away from parts of your image. That is basically how I prepare all my thumbnails. The key is to get this effect of hierarchy and have a way of separating your character, the foreground, from your background. I thought I would also tell you a little bit about text on thumbnails. We use two fonts here. One is a sturdy block capital style font, the other is a bit artier looking script one. Again, this helps with composing an image, as I can write the important stuff with the block capital one and then the less important stuff with the arty one. General rule of thumb, two fonts are enough. In fact, one is enough if you know what you're doing. And don't cram the image with words, please. I know you see very wordy YouTube thumbnails all the time in this platform, and they might have some persuasive power to them, but honestly, it will make your thumbnails look like a grocery store flyer. Another pro tip here, which I don't do for all my thumbnails, but oftentimes I mask off parts of my text around the main character, the same way we masked things off in previous layers. It's a little thing, but honestly, I think this is what separates the professionals from the amateur designers. Mostly because only professional apps let you do this kind of thing. Okay, before you go, let me tell you maybe the most important tip of all. You need to test, study and analyze your own thumbnails yourself. I have shown you the editing style which seems to be working for me, but I can't promise you that your videos are suddenly gonna blow up if you religiously follow my tips. Like, I rely on the color grey quite a lot and black and white stuff, because that's what I set for ourselves as the main Dancier and Balog brand color. But your brand vision might be something completely different, and that's fine. Truth is, there is no one-size-fits-all solution for thumbnails. There are some very successful channels out there which are seemingly putting zero effort into their thumbnails, and there are others which are crammed with writing and they're still succeeding, so you know. What you need to do is do your own experience and see what works for you. Me and Jacqueline are about 60 videos into our YouTube journey now, and only recently we have been feeling that we have finally found the style of thumbnails that we are happy with. Hence I'm making this video. So you will only really see what works for you once you have enough data to look back on, which will also show you what didn't work for you, okay? Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up to show your support. And while you are here, join our Design Tribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming content. We aim to give you guys 2 videos every week about art, graphic design, illustration, interior design, architecture and everything in between. Take care guys, and I'll see you this time next week with another video. Bye!